Try to put profitable expressions and ideas in your heart and let them rest there. When a storm of words comes, your heart stores will be a mooring post on your tongue.
Have you ever questioned how two of the most prominent kings in the Bible, King David and King Solomon, seem to vanish from historical records? Despite claims that Solomon was the wealthiest and wisest ruler of his time, and that Israel, as the united monarchy, was a powerful nation that others paid tribute to, there's no evidence to back up these stories. The Bible mentions Solomon's famous wife, Queen Sheba, but no trace of her exists. Even more intriguing is the omission of the names of the Pharaoh and his daughter, whom Solomon allegedly married, despite the Torah's prohibition against intermarriage with Egyptians. Archaeologists have yet to uncover any remains of Solomon's palace, temple, or vast wealth. Could it be that the biblical narrative was entirely fabricated by scribes? Or was the story borrowed from ancient Egypt, whitewashed and revised to create Israeli heroes? We're here to dive deep, explore possibilities, and shed light on hidden truths. According to the Bible, King Solomon, whose name intriguingly means the sun in 3 different languages, Sol in Latin, Om in Hindi, and On in Egyptian, while also meaning peace in Hebrew, was incredibly wealthy, built the first temple in Jerusalem, and was renowned for his wisdom. His lifestyle closely mirrored that of Egyptian pharaohs, with numerous wives, concubines, horse-drawn chariots, and countless servants. In fact, according to 1 Kings 3:1, his harem even included the daughter of an Egyptian pharaoh. A remarkable claim, considering that Egyptian pharaohs traditionally married queens, but never gave their daughters to foreign nations. Yet despite generations of theologians and archaeologists scouring the Holy Land in search of his capital city, palace, temple, and legendary wealth, including his famed mines, they've come up empty-handed. This is puzzling, especially given that many ancient ruins as old or older have been discovered around the world. Could it be that these structures never existed? Or perhaps we've been searching in the wrong place or the wrong era? The key to solving this age-old mystery might actually lie in Egypt. While it may sound unconventional, this theory makes a lot of sense, as there are numerous parallel stories recorded in Egyptian history. Let's take a closer look at King David, a figure still famous today for the Star of David and the City of David. Interestingly, during the same period when David is said to have reigned, an Egyptian pharaoh named Psusennes was known by the title Pa Sebaka en Nui, which translates to "My star rises over my city." Both Pharaoh Psusennes and King David were strongly linked to a star and a city. King David ruled from the city of Zion, while Psusennes ruled from Tanis, which was known in ancient times as Zoan. But where did the name David come from? A possible explanation might lie in the ancient Egyptian word for star, which is Duat. The Aramaic pronunciation of David is Daoud, which draws a fascinating parallel between the two. Surprisingly, King David had a daughter named Maka Tamar, and Pharaoh Psusennes had a daughter named Makare-Mutamhat. The only noticeable difference between their names is that the Judean princess dropped the mu from her title. David's renowned general was Joab, while the pharaoh's army commander was Choab-Endjed. The similarities between these figures are striking and suggest a deeper connection between these ancient stories. Further research suggests that King Solomon, traditionally known as King David's son in the Bible, might actually correspond to Pharaoh Amenhotep III. Amenhotep III is a notable figure in Egyptian history, remembered for his peaceful reign and monumental building projects, including the Temple of Luxor and the renowned mortuary temple, which align with biblical descriptions of Solomon's temple. According to the book of 1 Kings, Solomon's temple and palace were so grand that there should be clear archaeological evidence of their existence. Yet, despite numerous excavations in modern-day Israel spanning over a century, nothing has been found. However, the magnificent remains in Luxor and the stela found inside match the biblical accounts almost perfectly. Many of the ancient structures in Luxor, including the Hall of Columns at Malkata, bear dimensions remarkably close to those given in 1 Kings 7:6, differing only by 2 to 3 centimeters. Even the name of the architect has an intriguing parallel. The biblical Hiram Abif seems to correspond to the Egyptian Herum Atif. Moreover, Amenhotep III, like Solomon, was known for his wisdom, as evidenced by his writing of the Instruction of Amenhotep, which contains sayings strikingly similar to the biblical proverbs attributed to Solomon. Both rulers also shared the characteristic of having many wives, including princesses from Babylon, Syria, and Mitanni, and both governed 12 districts. These similarities suggest that the biblical King Solomon and the Egyptian Pharaoh Amenhotep III might indeed be one and the same. As we've come to realize, the stories of King David and King Solomon may not be as straightforward as we've been led to believe. The striking parallels between these biblical figures and ancient Egyptian pharaohs open the door to new interpretations that challenge conventional history. Whether King Solomon and Pharaoh Amenhotep III were indeed the same person, or whether the tales of David and Solomon were inspired by Egyptian narratives, one thing is clear. Our interpretations of history are always evolving. The absence of archaeological evidence for these biblical kings in the Holy Land, combined with the remarkable similarities found in Egypt, suggests that we may need to reconsider where and how we search for the truth. Perhaps the real story has been hiding in plain sight all along, written not only in the Bible, but also on the ancient stones of Egypt. As we continue to dig deeper, we must remain open to new perspectives, just as Pharaoh Amenhotep advised us to keep profitable expressions and ideas in our hearts. History is not just a collection of facts, but a living narrative shaped by those who tell it. So, what if the story of Israel's greatest kings is actually a retelling of Egypt's pharaohs?